If you do not like someone's story, write your own. Changing Narratives with Wambui Kabage.
Hello everyone, this is Wambui Kabage back again, and today we're going to be discussing something very interesting. So we did the marriage do's and don'ts, and I thought today would be a perfect time to discuss what I've learned when it relates to marriage do's and don'ts. Now you see, we're going to use an acronym, and the acronym today is going to be FAME. FAME, what does that mean? When you get into a marriage, or when you want to get into a marriage, I want you guys to begin to ask yourself a question using this acronym, right? What is this person's family? Are you aware about this person? Do you know of their values? Do you know what their points of view are related to money? Are you aware of their expectations that they have on you? Why I ask you to think about and reflect on this particular acronym is because what has happened is over the years that I've been in practice, a lot of couples get divorced. And they get divorced, I have come to observe, because a lot of foundational issues were not discussed at the beginning, unfortunately. And so part of my exploration on this and why I believe it relates to this conversation of mediation is, you remember we discussed there's conflict and there's prevention. So part of conflict prevention or part of the resolution of conflict is not getting to the conflict in the first place. So if you laid down proper foundations in regards to who you chose as a spouse and all that comes with that, I genuinely believe the marriages and divorces, marriages firstly would be more successful and divorces would be less. So let's discuss this conversation. Let's have a conversation about what I mean. What I mean is, guys, do you have a list of what you want your spouse to have in terms of values, in terms of family, in terms of awareness, in terms of money and your expectations? Do you have a list? And if you don't have a list, I'm going to ask you why. Because you see, when it comes to your career, something that you're going to do for most of your life, oh, you have it down packed. You have it all straight up and organized. You know, if you want to be an engineer, what grades do I need, right? What exams do I need to take? If I'm going to a campus, what kind of a campus is it? Is it aligned with what I want in my campus? Who are the faculty in that campus? What does the campus look like? How is the campus rated? Oh my goodness, when it comes to our careers, we know everything. We even know how the classrooms look like. But when it comes to this person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, we are happy to be meeting this individual in a social context and stumble upon them and be like, oh, well, okay, I think maybe this can work. What do you mean? And really, is it no surprise that most of our marriages and divorces our marriages end up in divorces? So here I'm going to give you what I've learned. What I've learned is successful marriages are actually very deliberate. They are not accidental. So for example, folks, when you're getting married, do you go off and get a test regarding your intimacy status? Do you know whether one or the other party has HIV or has any other sexually transmitted diseases? Do you know that? If you don't, you should. Because this is going to impact your life. It can actually cause your death, but also it can impact your children. Certain STDs cause disabilities. And these are things that should come in the beginning. Do you know the position of your spouse related to money? Is it the woman who's expected to earn as well as the man? What happens when children come into the relationship? Is there an expectation of one of you to stop working or actually to continue working throughout this whole process? Do you have that as a conversation? What about family? Who supports each other's families? There are some spouses who are actually the breadwinners for the entire family. You as the other party, do you have a problem with that? Because you see, later on, this is a conflict. And I'm talking because these are conflicts that come, that as a result of these conflicts, the marriage breaks down. So in the very beginning, these are conversations that you must have with your spouses. What about value systems? I hear a lot of people saying, oh, it really doesn't matter what this person feels or thinks about anything. We just love each other. I don't know whether you guys heard Tina Turner sing, "What's love got to do with it?" I'm telling you, as a person who has been involved in family disputes and couples in crisis, values are so important to the point that love has nothing to do with it, right? And what does that mean? It means, for example, what is your religious affiliation, right? As a couple, this is really going to impact the way in which you engage. I'll give you an example. If one spouse is a Muslim and another spouse is a Christian, Sunday school, madrasa, how's that going to play out? Have you had these conversations? Because these are very important conversations that you must have, right? What happens when there is an issue? One person decides, actually, no, I'm a pretty strong Christian and I think that my child should go through the catechism and should go through all the procedures of that particular Christian denomination. And then the other person, be they Muslim, be they Hindu, be they atheist, decide, no, I'm not indoctrinating my child in that way. How did this happen? And then a huge conflict arises. And now you have another human being in your lives. Have you thought about these things? You better think about these things because these are the things that cause people to come and see people like me, right? Now, as it relates to money, this I'll go back and I'll keep going back to because it's such an important point. There are certain people who have certain value systems. For example, there are certain faith communities that state that a man has to provide, regardless of whether the woman has a colossal paycheck. How do you feel about that? Have you discussed that? So really, I'd just like to end my wonderful viewers with wanting to have you reflect and think deeply about fame, family, awareness, money, expectations, and at the end, values. Reflect on those, think about them, and write your list before you get married. I hope this has been a very beneficial session for you guys. Like, share, and subscribe.